Today I'm going to be going over my passive income earnings for the month of March 2023. Now, right off the bat, before I jump in and talk about the earnings, I kind of want to talk about a node structure that I went through this past month, and this will be the new node structure moving forward. We may expand on this, but essentially what we're running now is I'm running my NAS for Storj and a Node PC, which is like a B-Link mini PC running Ubuntu. And for that one, I'm running pretty much one of every node. The first nodes I spin up will always be on this one because that is essentially free to me. I don't have to pay a monthly charge for those. Now, I do also have two Oracle Cloud free tier nodes. And with these, you can sign up at Oracle Cloud, and if you basically KYC with them, you get two VPSs. They're very low-spec VPSs, but you do get those for life. You select the region you want those in, so I have two in the US West region, and I'm running Presearch only on these. They're very low-spec, so I don't run... previously, I tried running a bunch of master nodes on them, but it ended up just causing the server to not crash, but just really get sluggish. Sometimes the master nodes would shut down. So if you are going to use those for a node, I do suggest only running one node on them. Just pick something. For me, I picked Presearch because that is my most revenue generating node that I have. And then what I did is I spun up 5 Contabo VPSs. Now, Contabo's been running a deal lately where for $8.49, they just opened a data center in Germany, and so for $8.49 a month, you get, I believe it's 4 core, 8 gigs of RAM, 200 gig SSD. Phenomenal deal, especially for running nodes. So that's $8.50, and then for an extra like $1.25, I was able to spin one up in the US, and I'll talk about this in a minute. And then I spun up 3 more in Germany. The reason I spun this one up in the US was because after I spun this one up, I noticed that the reliability score in Presearch was pretty low. So I wanted to spin up this one and run a test for the month to see if it was worth the difference between those two. So here you can see for Presearch, we ran it on 2 of the Contabo nodes, and then obviously on my NAS, which I will be moving to my Node PC, and both Oracle free tiers. For Mysterium, we're essentially running Mysterium on every system. It's actually running on the GPU server for now. So that's running on everything, and it's not a lot, especially on these data center VPSs, because we don't get a lot of residential traffic, we only get the data center traffic, but it's pretty much free to stand up and run, so I'm letting those run. Storj is still just running on my NAS and on one of my Hive OS rigs. Pigeon, we're running 6 master nodes, so all of those Contabo servers have a Pigeon node running, and then my Node PC also has a Pigeon node running. Same thing with 01 coin. We get 6 of those running. Now for Omega, this chain went down for a couple weeks out of the month, but we're running 4 instances of it. And then Edel, we are running 6 instances of this. And those 6 instances were spun up about halfway through the month. Nixcoin, we're running 4 instances of. And altcoin, we're running 4 instances of. And right now what I'm doing is I'm stacking the rewards that I'm getting from Omega, Nix, and altcoin. And eventually, once I get enough rewards to spin up more nodes, these will be filled with nodes as well. So moving on to the actual earnings. Let's start with Helium. We earned 1.257 HNT. One thing I do want to mention is I did switch to the Nebra firmware on my Synchro bit, It was working really good. And then they pushed out a bad update, which actually required me to disassemble the hotspot, reflash the CM4 with the latest firmware, and it's been running fine since. So there were a few days of downtime until I've reflashed that firmware. So that was the equivalent of $1.72 in earnings. Honeygain, we earned 3.74 jump tokens, which is $7.35. Mysterium, this is across all the nodes, was 41.66 Mysterium, which was $11.16 USD equivalent. Storj, so our primary NAS, which we've been running this one for well over a year. It's probably been 15, 16 months now that this one's been up and running. We earned 40.31 Storj, which is $15.61 for the month. And for this, we have the storage allocation to 5 terabytes, and currently it's using 4.86 terabytes. So it's getting really close to being all used up, which should then push the data storage a lot more to the other node. Now that second node, we have 44 terabytes available. It's using 458 gigs. Again, we just spun this one up last month. And so we earned 5.69 Storj, which is the equivalent of $2.32 in USD. And as the case every month, all these prices are taken at the very end of the month. So pretty much midnight UTC of April 1st, these prices were taken. Moving on to 01 coin. And this has always been kind of the most profitable for me, just from a return standpoint. And we're running 6 because we're maxed out. But here you can see we actually earned 12,336. We earned enough with those 6 nodes in the month. We could technically spin up 12 more nodes if we had the hardware to do so. And at the time I got into this coin, I think setting up a node was like 20 cents. So for the month, we earned $4.93. The ROI is still really good on this node. Omega, again, this was down for a couple weeks because the chain got halted. However, the chain is back up online now. And we earned 195.35 Omega, which is 30 cents. Again, that's across 4 master nodes. Moving on to next coin, we earned 427, which is around 52 cents. It's for 4. Altcoin. This one's really nice. Each of the blocks that you get on your masternode are worth about 400 coins. And so we earned 17,100 altcoin across 3 masternodes. And that was equated to $9.77. My hopes is to have 2 or 3 more of these spun up by the end of April. Moving on to the EDAL masternode. We earned 13,040 EDAL, which is worth around $9.32. And the Pigeon masternode. So as everybody's probably aware, Pigeon has been extremely volatile since it got delisted on CoinEx. And as such, the price swings are pretty insane right now. But across the 6 masternodes, we earned 517,991 Pigeon, which was around $1.22 for the month. Keep in mind that a Pigeon masternode requires 1 million coins to spin up, so we essentially earned half of a masternode this month. Moving on to 777. So this is Jackpot Coin, which has been around for a while. And we spun this up towards the end of the month. We only hit 2 blocks. Each block's 130. So for 2 blocks, we were looking at around 74 cents. Again, that right now that is only running on 1 masternode. I kind of wanted to see how the rewards were before I decide to spin it up on any more. And last but not least is our Presearch nodes. So we're running 5 Presearch nodes. We're going to hopefully get that count up to 8 in the month of April. That's the plan at least. But across those 5, we earned 633 pre, which is around $65 at the end of the month. Pre had some nice price discovery throughout the month. It did dip a little bit towards the end of the month, but we're seeing some nice action with Pre, and really happy with these nodes. So what does that look like from an overall standpoint with the costs that I've incurred? So we earned essentially 0.0046 BTC in revenue, which is around $130. Our VPS cost was $43.70 for the month, leaving our unrealized profit as $86.33 or 0.003 BTC. The reason this is unrealized profit is because I didn't sell anything, right? So at the end of the month, had we sold it, this was our profit. But I ate the VPS cost because I'm using all those rewards to reinvest into more nodes. I'll get to a point probably fairly soon where I'll be taking all of those extra rewards once I hit the master node counts that I want, and those will auto exchange into most likely BTC. And before we wrap up the video, I do want to talk about the Contabo service offering. And if you hop on over to contabo.com, you're going to see by default it shows all the prices. But if you select the one that says $5.99, I think this is Euro, you're going to come in here and you're going to see in the US that equates to $8.49. They do have a one-time setup fee. So whenever you spin up a node, you do have to pay an additional $8.49. And this is to prevent people from spinning up, spinning down, spinning up, spinning down. And so I do the month to month. If you do a longer term, then you don't have to pay the setup fee, but the monthly fee is still the same. I wasn't sure how this was going to work out, so I decided to pay the monthly fee up front. But here you can see you get 4 vCores, 8 gigs of RAM, and you have your choice of either a 50 gig NVMe drive or 20 gig SSD. And I opted for the SSD because I'm running multiple nodes on these, so I need to have multiple blockchain snapshots on these systems. And I knew I would have ran into a limit with 50 gigs. For me, storage is more important than speed. And here you can see, at the time I signed up, it was $1.25 more to get to the United States. However, they've increased that by 20 cents. So it's now $1.45 more. And what I noticed was throughout the month, at the end of the month, there was about $1 difference between my Presearch node running on the Germany and running on the US. And so for me, it's kind of up in the air. If you're going to spin a new one up, I would probably just do the US one. However, if you already have Germany ones, it's not worth it to spin those down and spin up new US ones. If you look at the storage type, you've got your 200 gig SSD. And one of the other nice things is they only charge $9 extra for a Windows server. This is a really good price to run a Windows server. Typically, you're going to see a lot higher license fees than that. But Ubuntu's free. I run 20.04. And you can pay for additional IP addresses. It does come with one public v4 IP. And the other thing is the bandwidth limits are actually really nice. So it's a 200 megabit per second connection, and you get unlimited inbound bandwidth, and you get 32 terabytes of outbound bandwidth per month. So I'm running Mysterium nodes on this thing. So I'm also utilizing it for decentralized VPN, and I've never ran into an issue. So very nice to see. If you're in the market for VPS, definitely check them out. I don't have a referral code or anything, but I do recommend them for running master nodes just because of the ability to spin those up at a low cost and get 4 vCPU and 8 gigs of RAM. This was the big reason I went with them. Obviously, I recommend always running at least one from home if you can. Definitely recommend any of the B-Link mini PCs or really any type of mini PC. will be good for running a home master node. But if you get to the point where you want to expand, like I have, then certainly consider Contabo. There's Volter. There's all kinds of VPS providers. Just really look for pretty much the lowest cost if you're trying to maximize your returns.